Shalom, shalom. Today will be 1 Kings 6 through 10. And it came to be in the 480th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, in the 4th year of the reign of Shelemoth over Israel, in the new moon of Ziv, or of, I don't know how you want to say that, Zil, which is the second new moon, that he began to build the house of Yahweh. And the house which sovereign Shelemoth built for Yahweh was 60 cubits long, and 20 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. And the porch at the front of the hakal of the house was 20 cubits long, according to the breadth of the house, and its width 10 cubits, from the front of the house. And he made for the house windows with narrowed frames, and against the wall of the house he built rooms all around, against the walls of the house, all around the hakal and the speaking place. Thus he made side rooms all around. The lowest side room was 5 cubits wide, and the middle one was 6 cubits wide, and the third one was 7 cubits wide. For he made narrow ledges around the outside of the house, so as not to lay hold of the walls of the house. And the house, when it was being built, was built with finished stone made ready beforehand, so that no hammer or chisel or any iron tool was heard in the house while it was being built. The doorway for the middle side room was on the right side of the house, and they went up by stairs to the middle side rooms, and from the middle to the third. So he built the house and completed it. And he paneled the house with beams and boards of cedar, and he built the side rooms of the house against all the house, each 5 cubits high, and they were fastened to the house with cedar beams. And the word of Yahweh came to Shelemoth, saying, This house which you are building, if you walk in my laws, and do my right rulings, and shall guard my commands, and walk in them, then I shall confirm my word with you, which I spoke to your father David, and shall dwell in the midst of the children of Israel, and not forsake my people Israel. So Shelemoth built the house and completed it. And he built the walls of the house inside with cedar boards. From the floor of the house to the ceiling he paneled them on the inside with wood, and covered the floor of the house with planks of cypress. And he built 20 cubits at the rear of the house, from floor to the walls, with cedar boards. And he built it inside as the speaking place, as the most set apart place. And the house was 40 cubits. And the house was 40 cubits. It is the hakal before it. And the cedar for the house was carved with ornaments and open flowers, and all was cedar, not a stone was seen. And he prepared the speaking place in the midst of the house, to place the ark of the covenant of Yahweh there. And the front of the speaking place was 20 cubits long, and 20 cubits wide, and 20 cubits high. And he overlaid it with refined gold, and overlaid the slaughter place with cedar. And Shelemoth overlaid the inside of the house with refined gold, and made gold chains pass over the front of the speaking place, and overlaid it with gold. Thus he overlaid the entire house with gold until the entire house was completed, and the entire slaughter place that was by the speaking place he overlaid with gold. And inside the speaking place he made 2 cherubim of olive wood, 10 cubits high. And one wing of the cherubim was 5 cubits, and the other wing of the cherub 5 cubits, 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. And the other cherub was 10 cubits. Both cherubim were of the same size and shape. The height of one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was the other cherub. And he placed the cherubim in the midst of the inner house, and they stretched out the wings of the cherubim, so that the wing of one touched one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall. And their wings touched each other in the middle of the room. And he overlaid the cherubim with gold, and he carved all the woods of the house all around, both inside and outside, with carved figures of cherubim, and palm trees, and open flowers. And he overlaid the floor of the house with gold, inside and outside. And for the entrance of the speaking place he made doors of olive wood, the lintel doorpost a fifth. The 2 doors were of olive wood, And he carved on them figures of cherubim, and palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold. And he spread the gold of the cherubim on the palm trees. So he made doorposts of the doors of the hall, for the doors of the hall of olive wood, a fourth part. And the two doors were of cypress wood, and the two leaves of the one folded, and two leaves of the other folded. And he carved cherubim and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, laid smoothly in the carved work. And he built an inner courtyard with 3 rows of hewn stone, and a row of cedar beams. In the 4th year, the foundation of the house of Yahweh was laid, in the month Ziv, and in the 11th year, in the month Bul, the 8th new moon, the house was completed in all the matters, and according to all its plans. Thus he built it for 7 years. And Shelemoth built his own house for 13 years, and he completed his entire house. And he built the house of the forest of Lebanon. It was 100 cubits long, and 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, and 4 rows of cedar columns, and cedar beams on the columns. And it was paneled with cedar above the beams. That were of 45 columns, 15 to a row. And there were windows with narrow frames in 3 rooms, and window was opposite window 3 times. And all the doorways and doorposts had square frames, and windows was opposite window 3 times. And he made the porch of the columns 50 cubits long and 30 cubits wide, and the porch was in front of them, and the columns and the roof was in front of them. And he made a wall for the throne, the hall of right ruling, where he ruled, and it was paneled with cedar from floor to floor. And the house where he was to dwell in the other courtyard within the hall was of like workmanship. And Shelemoth made a house like this hall for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken. And all these of precious stone hewn to size, sawed with the saw, inside and out, from the foundation to the coping, and also on the outside to the great courtyard. And the foundation was of precious stone, large stones, stones of 10 cubits and stones of 8 cubits. And above were precious stones hewn to size, and cedar wood. So the great courtyard all around had 3 rows of hewn stones, and a row of cedar beams. And was the inner courtyard, as was the inner courtyard of the house of Yahweh, and the porch of the house. And sovereign Shelemoth sent and brought Hiram from Sor. He was the son of a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Sor, a bronze worker. And he was filled with wisdom and understanding and skill in working with all kinds of bronze work. So he came to sovereign Shelemoth and did all his work. And he cast 2 columns of bronze, each one 18 cubits high, and a line of 12 cubits measured the circumference of each. And he made 2 capitals of cast bronze to put on the tops of the columns. The height of one capital was 5 cubits, and the height of the other capital was 5 cubits. A lattice network with wreaths of chainwork for the capitals, which were on tops of the columns, 7 chains for one capital and 7 for the other capital. And he made the columns in 2 rows of pomegranates above the network all around to cover the capitals that were on top. So he did for the other capital. And the capitals that were on top of the columns in the hall were in the shape of lilies, 4 cubits, and there were capitals above also on the two columns, by the bulge which was next to the network. And the pomegranates were 200, and rows of each of the capitals all around. And he set up the columns by the porch of the hall, and he set up the columns on the right and called its name Yakin. And he set up the column on the left and called its name Boaz. And on the top of the columns was lily work. Thus the work of the columns was completed. And he made the sea of cast metal 10 cubits from one rim to the other, round all about, and 5 cubits high, and a line of 30 cubits measured round it. And below its rim were ornaments all around, 10 to a cubit, all the way around the sea. The ornaments were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood on 12 oxen, then facing north, and 3 facing west. 3 facing north, and 3 facing west, and 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. And the sea was set upon them, and all their back parts were inward. And it was a handbreadth thick, and its rim was shaped like the rim of a cup, like a lily blossom, and it held 2,000 baths. And he made 10 stands of bronze. Each stand was 4 cubits long, and 4 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high. And this is how the stands were made. They had side panels, and the side panels were between frames. And on the side panels that were between the frames were lion, oxen, and cherubim, and a pedestal above on the frame. Below the lion and the oxen were wreaths of beaten work, and each stand had 4 bronze wheels, an axle of bronze, and its 4 feet had supports. Under the basin were cast supports beside each wreath, and its opening inside the crown at the top was 1 cubit, and the opening was round like the work of the pedestal, 1.5 cubits, and also on the opening were engravings, but the side panels were square, not round. And the 4 wheels were under the side panels, and the axles of the wheels were joined to the stand, and the height of a wheel was 1.5 cubits. And the wheels were made like chariot wheels, like their axle pins, and their rims, and their spokes, and their hubs were all cast. And there were 4 supports at the 4 corners of each stand. Its supports were of the stand itself. And on the top of the stand, 1/2 cubit in height, round all around. And on the top of the stand, its flanges and its sides were panels of the same. And on the plates of its flanges and on the side panels he engraved cherubim, lions, and palm trees, according to the clear space on each, with wreaths all around. And he made the 10 stands like this. All of them were of 1 mold, 1 measure, and 1 shape. And he made 10 basins of bronze. Each basin contained 40 baths, and each basin was 4 cubits, 1 basin on each of the 10 stands. And he put 5 stands on the right side of the house, and 5 on the left side of the house. And he put the sea on the right side of the house to the east, facing south. And Hiram made the pots and the shovels and the bowls, and Hiram completed doing all the work that he had to do for sovereign Shelemoth, the house of Yahweh. And 2 columns, and the bowl-shaped capitals that were on top of the columns, and the 2 networks covering the 2 bowl-shaped capitals were on top of the columns. And the 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network to cover the 2 bowl-shaped capitals that were on top of the columns, and 10 stands and 10 basins on the stands, and the 1 sea, and 12 oxen under the sea, and the pots and the shovels and the bowls and all the utensils which Hiram made for sovereign Shelemoth for the house of Yahweh were of polished bronze. The sovereign had them cast in clay in the district of Jordan between Sukkot and Sarathen, and Shelemoth left all the utensils unweighed because they were many, nor was the weight of the bronze searched out. So Shelemoth made all the utensils for the house of Yahweh, the slaughter place of gold, and the table of gold on which was the showbread, and the lampstands of refined gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, in front of the speaking place, and the flowers, and the lamps, and the snuffers of gold, and the basins, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the ladles, and the fire holders of refined gold, and the hinges of gold, both for the doors of the inner house, and the most set apart place, and for the doors of the house of the Hakal. Thus all the work which sovereign Shelemoth had done for the house of Yahweh was completed. And Shelemoth brought in the set apart items of his father David, the silver and the gold and the utensils, and he put them in the treasuries of the house of Yahweh. We're making progress. Took half a century, but we're making progress. Then Shelemoth assembled the elders of Israel, and all the heads of the tribes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel, and sovereign Shelemoth in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh from the city of David, which is in Sion. And all the men of Israel assembled to sovereign Shelemoth at the festival in the month of Enithaim, which is in the 7th new moon. I think that's Maybe it's atonement. I don't know. We have to go back and look at Leviticus 23. And all the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark, and brought up the ark of Yahuwah, and the tent of appointment, and all the set apart utensils that were in the tent. And the priests and the Levites brought them up, and the sovereign Shelemoth, and all the congregation of Israel who had assembled with them, were with him before the ark, slaughtering so many sheep and cattle that they could not be counted or numbered. And the priest brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah to its place, into the speaking place of the house, and to the most set apart place under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread 2 wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubim covered over the ark and its poles. And the poles extended so that the ends of the poles were seen from the set apart place in front of the speaking place, but they were not seen from outside, and they are there to this day. There was not in the ark only the 2 tablets of stone which Moshe put there at Horeb, where Yahuwah had made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Mitzrayim. That's interesting. I wonder where the staff, there was a couple of things in there that they put in there, if I'm not mistaken. I wonder where it went. Maybe this is why all those people went away when Saul died. And they brought the ark out there, and the ark got stolen. Maybe they stole all that stuff out of there. Anyway, and it came to be when the priests came out of the set-apart place that the cloud filled the house of Yahuwah, so that the priests were unable to stand and perform the service because of the cloud. For the esteem of Yahuwah filled the house of Yahuwah. And Shelemoth said, Yahuwah has said he would dwell in the dark cloud. I have indeed built you an exalted house, an established place for you to dwell in forever. And the sovereign turned around and blessed all the assembly of Israel, while all the assembly of Israel was standing. And he said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, who spoke with his mouth to my father David, and with his hand has filled it, saying, Since the day I brought my people Israel out of Mitzrayim, I have chosen no city from any tribe of Israel in which to build a house for my name to be there. But I choose David to be over my people Israel. And it was in the heart of my father David to build a house for the name of Yahuwah Elohim of Israel. But Yahuwah said to my father David, Because it has been in your heart to build a house for my name, you did well that it was in your heart. Only you do not build the house, but your son, who is coming from your loins, he does build the house for my name. Now Yahuwah has established his word, which he spoke, and I have raised up instead of my father David, and sit on the throne of Israel, as Yahuwah promised, and built a house for the name of Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, and have appointed there a place for the ark, wherein is the covenant of Yahuwah, which he made with our fathers, when he brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. And Shelemoth stood before the slaughter place of Yahuwah in front of all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hand toward the heavens, and said, Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, there is no Elohim in the heavens above or on earth below like you, guarding your covenant and loving commitment with your servants who walk before you with all their heart. Who has guarded that which you did promise your servant David my father? Indeed, you have both spoken with your mouth and have filled it with your hand, as it is this day. And now, Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, guard what you promised your servant David my father, saying, There is not to cease a man of yours before me, sitting on the throne of Israel. Only if your sons guard their way to walk before me, as you have walked before me. And now, O Elohim of Israel, please let your word come true, which you have spoken to your servant David my father. For is it true, Elohim dwells on the earth? See the heavens and the heavens of the heavens are unable to contain you. How much less this house which I have built? Yet shall you turn to the prayer of your servant and his supplication, O Yahuwah my Elohim, and listen to the cry of the prayer which your servant is praying before you today? For your eyes to open toward this house night and day, toward the place of which you said, My name is there, to listen to the prayer which your servant makes toward this place. Then shall you hear the supplication of your servant and of your people Israel, when they pray when they pray toward this place, when you hear in your dwelling place in the heavens, and shall you hear and forgive? If anyone sins against his neighbor, and he has lifted up an oath on him to cause him to swear, and comes and swears before your slaughter place in this house, then he in the heavens and act then hear in the heavens and rightly rule your servants, declaring the wrongdoer wrong, bringing his way on his head, and declaring the righteous right by giving him according to his righteousness. When your people Israel are smitten before an enemy, because they have sinned against you, and they shall turn back to you and confess your name, and pray and make supplication to you in your house, then hear in the heavens, and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land which you gave to their fathers. When the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because they have sinned against you, when they pray toward this place, and confess your name, and turn from their sin, because you afflicted them, then hear in the heavens, and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel, for you teach them the good way in which they should walk, and shall give rain on your land which you have given to your people as an inheritance. When there is scarcity of food in the land, when there is pestilence, blight, mildew, locusts, grasshoppers, when their enemy distresses them in the land of their cities, any plague, any sickness, whatever prayer, whatever supplication made by anyone of all your people Israel, each knowing the plague of his own heart, and shall spread out his hand toward his house, then hear in the heavens your dwelling place, and forgive, and act, and render unto everyone according to all his ways, whose heart you know, because you alone know the hearts of all the sons of men, so that they fear you all the days that they live in the land which you gave to your fathers. Also, concerning a foreigner who is not of your people Israel, but has come from a far land for your name's sake, since they hear of your great name, and your strong hand, and your outstretched arm, and he shall come and pray toward this house, hear in the heavens your dwelling place, and do according to all for which the foreigner calls to you, so that all peoples on the earth know your name and fear you, and do your people Israel, and know that this house which I have built is called by your name. When your people go out to battle against their enemy in the way that you send them, and they shall pray to Yahuwah toward the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then you shall hear in the heavens their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become enraged with them, and give them to the enemy, and they take them captive to the land of the enemy, far or near, and they shall turn back unto their heart in the land which they have been taken captive, and shall turn and make supplication to you in the land of those who took them captive, saying, We have sinned and acted crookedly, we have committed wrong. And they shall turn back to you with all their heart and with all their being in the land of their enemies who led them away captive, and shall pray to you toward their land which you gave to their fathers, the city which you have chosen, and the house which I have built for your name. Then you shall hear in the heavens your dwelling place their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you, and all their transgressions which have transgressed against you, and give them compassion before those who took them captive, and they shall have compassion on them. For they are your people and your inheritance, and you brought out of Mitzrayim, whom you brought out of Mitzrayim, out of the iron furnace. Let your eyes be upon the supplication of your servant and the supplication of your people Israel, to listen to them whenever they call to you. For you have separated them unto yourselves for an inheritance out of all the peoples of the earth, as you spoke by the hand of your servant Moshe, when you brought our fathers out of Mitzrayim, O Master Yahuwah. And it came to be, when Shelemoth had ended praying all this prayer and supplication to Yahuwah, that he rose up from before the slaughter place of Yahuwah, from kneeling on his knees with his hands spread up to the heavens. He stood and blessed all the assembly of Israel with a loud voice, saying, Blessed be Yahuwah, who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all that he promised. There has not failed one word of all his good word, which he promised through his servant Moshe. Yahuwah our Elohim is with us as he was with our fathers. He does not leave us nor forsake us, to incline our hearts to himself, to walk in all his ways, and to guard his commands and his laws and his right rulings and his command which he commanded our fathers. And let these words of mine, which I have made supplication before Yahuwah, be near Yahuwah our Elohim, day and night, to maintain the cause of his servant, and to cause his people Israel the matter of each day in its day, so that all the people of the earth might know that Yahuwah is Elohim, there is no one else. Let your heart therefore be perfect to Yahuwah our Elohim, to walk in his laws and guard his commands, as at this day. And the sovereign and all Israel with him slaughtered slaughterings before Yahuwah. And Shelemoth slaughtered slaughterings of peace offerings, which he slaughtered to Yahuwah, 22,000 bulls and 120,000 sheep. Thus the sovereign and all the children of Israel dedicated the house of Yahuwah. Okay. I'm not doing that right now. We'll come back to this. We're going to come back to this. 63. On that day the sovereign set apart the middle of the courtyard that was in front of the house of Yahuwah. For there he made ascending offerings, and the grain offerings, and the fat of the peace offerings, because the bronze slaughter place that was before Yahuwah was too small to contain the ascending offerings, and the grain offerings, and the fat of the peace offerings. Yep. They literally did so much that the little basin thing that they originally made that would fit a heifer ain't fitting heifers anymore. And Shelemoth at that time performed the festival, and all Israel with him, a great assembly, from the entrance of Hamath to the Wadi of Mitzrayim before Yahuwah our Elohim, 7 days, and 7 days, 14 days. On the 8th day he sent the people away, and they blessed the sovereign, and went to their tents, rejoicing and glad of heart for all the goodness that Yahuwah had done for his servant David, and for Israel his people. If I had to assume, this festival is probably Shavuot or Sukkot. Not Shavuot, Sukkot. Sukkot. Boos. Let me get a sip. And it came to be, when Shelemoth had finished the house of Yahuwah, and the house of the sovereign, and all the desire of Shelemoth which he was pleased to do, that Yahuwah appeared to Shelemoth the second time, as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. And Yahuwah said to him, I have heard your prayer and your supplication that you have made before me. I have set this house apart which you have built to my name, to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall always be there. And you, if you walk before me as your father David walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded you, if you guard my laws and my right rulings, dude, I mean, we just keep going over this. We just can't get away from it. We cannot get away from this. If you do these things, then, but if, we'll get there. And if you walk before me as your father David walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded you, if you guard my laws and my right rulings, then I shall establish the throne of your reign over Israel forever, as I promised David your father, saying, there is not to cease a man of yours on the throne of Israel. Now again, me personally, so far, I haven't seen Shelemoth do anything that's questionable, right? He's been pretty good. But over and over, like, God is consistently like, hey, I hear you. Just don't forget, there's only one stipulation here. Do the things. Do what I told you to do. You already know. If you would all turn back, you or your sons, from following me, and do not guard my commands, my laws, which I have set before you, but shall go and serve other mighty ones, and bow yourselves to them, then I shall cut off Israel from the face of the soil which I have given them, and send away from my presence this house which I have set apart for my name. And Israel shall be a proverb and a mockery among all the people. And this house, which has been exalted, everyone who passes by it shall be astonished, and hiss, and say, Why has Yahweh done thus to this land and to this house? Then they shall say, Because they have forsaken Yahweh, their Elohim, who brought their fathers out of the land of Mitzrayim, and they took hold of other mighty ones, and bowed themselves to them, and served them. That is why Yahweh has brought all this evil on them. And it came to be, at the end of 20 years, that Shelemoth had built the two houses, the house of Yahweh and the house of the sovereign. And Hiram, the sovereign of Sor, had supplied Shelemoth with cedar and cypress and gold, as much as he desired. Then sovereign Shelemoth gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galil. And Hiram came from Sor to see the cities which Shelemoth had given him, but they were not right in his eyes. And he said, What are these cities you have given me, my brother? And he called them the land of Kabul, and as they are to this day. And Hiram sent the foreigner 120 talents of gold. And this is the purpose of the compulsory labor which sovereign Shelemoth raised to build the house of Yahweh, and his own house, and Milo, and the wall of Jerusalem, and Hatzor, and Megiddo, and Gezer. Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, had gone up and taken Gezer, and burned it with fire, and killed the Canaanites who dwelt in the city, and had given it as a payment for the bride to his daughter, Shelemoth's wife. And Shelemoth built Gezer, and lower Baath Horon, and Baalath, Alatath, and Tamar, and the wilderness in the land of Judah, and all the strong cities that Shelemoth had, and cities for his chariots, and cities for his cavalry, and whatever Shelemoth desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and in all the land of his rule. All the people who were left of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, who were not of the children of Israel, and their descendants who were left in the land after them, whom the children of Israel had not been able to destroy completely. From these, Shelemoth raised compulsory labor, as it is to this day. But Shelemoth did not make slaves of the children of Israel, because they were men of battle, and his servants, and his rulers, and his officers, and commanders of his chariots, and his cavalry. These were the chiefs of the officials who were over the work of Shelemoth, 550, who ruled over the people who did the work. But the daughter of Pharaoh came up from the city of David to her house that he built for her. Then he built Milo. And 3 times a year Shelemoth brought ascending offerings and peace offerings on the slaughter place which he had built for Yahweh. And he burned incense with that which was before Yahweh, thus gave completeness to the house. And sovereign Shelemoth built a fleet of ships at Etziongeber, which is near Ailoth, on the shore of the Sea of Reeds, in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent his servants with the fleet, seamen who knew the sea, to work with the servants of Shelemoth. And they went to Ophir, and took 420 talents of gold from there, and brought it to the sovereign Shelemoth. And the sovereigns of Sheba heard of the report of Shelemoth concerning the name of Yahweh, and came to try him with hard questions. He's the wisest man ever. We're going to try him. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great company, with camels that bore spices, very much gold, and precious stones. And she came to Shelemoth, and she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. And Shelemoth answered all her questions. There was no matter hidden from the sovereign that he did not make known to her. And the sovereignness of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Shelemoth, but the house that he had built, and the house that he had built, and the food on his table, and the seating of his servants, and the service of his waiters, and their attire, and his cupbearers, and his ascending offerings which he offered in the house of Yahweh, and there was no more spirit in her. Yeah, she saw how good of a man he was, and she was like, oh, I guess I can't do anything here. Then she said to the sovereign, The word I heard in my own land about your words and your wisdom was true. But I did not believe the words until I came and saw with my own eyes. And see, I have not been told the half. Your wisdom and prosperity exceed the report which I heard. Blessed are your men, and blessed are these your servants, who stand continually before you, who are hearing your wisdom. Blessed be Yahuwah your Elohim, who delighted in you, to put you on the throne of Israel, because Yahuwah has loved Israel forever. Therefore he made you sovereign to do right ruling and righteousness. And she gave the sovereign 120 talents of gold, and very many spices, and precious stones. Never again did so many spices come as the sovereign of Sheba gave to sovereign Shelemoth. And also the ships of Haran, which brought gold from Ophir, brought almug wood, a great many of precious stones from Ophir. I wonder what that is. And the sovereign made steps of the almug wood for the house of Yahuwah and for the sovereign's house, also lyres and harps for singers. No such almug wood has come or been seen to this day. I don't even know what it is. And the sovereign Shelemoth gave the sovereign of Sheba all she desired, whatever she asked, besides what he gave her according to the hand of sovereign Shelemoth. And she turned and went to her land, she and her servants. And the weight of gold that came to Shelemoth yearly was 666 talents of gold. Again, if I'm not mistaken, a talent is about 70 pounds. So that's 10 is 700. I mean, Anyway, besides that, from men of travel, and the profit from traders, and from all the sovereigns of Arabia, and from the sovereigners, and from the governors of the land. And sovereign Shelemoth made 200 large shields of beaten gold. 600 pieces of gold went into each shield, and 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 minas of gold went into each shield. And the sovereign put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. And the sovereign made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with refined gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round at the back, and there was armrest on either side of the place of the seats. And 2 lions stood beside the armrest, and 12 lions were standing there on each side of the 6 steps. And the like of it was never made in any reign. And all the drinking vessels of sovereign Shelemoth were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of refined gold, not of silver, for this was reckoned of little value in the days of Shelemoth. For the sovereign had ships of Tarshish at sea with the fleet of Haram. Once every 3 years the ships of Tarshish came bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and baboons. Interesting. Sovereign Shelemoth was greater than any of the sovereigns of the earth in riches and wisdom. And all the earth sought the presence of Shelemoth to hear his wisdom, which Elohim had put in his heart. And they were each bringing his present, objects of silver and objects of gold, and garments and armor and spices, horses and mules, the matter of a year by year. And Shelemoth gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 2,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he stationed in the chariot cities, and with the sovereign in Jerusalem. And the sovereign made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones. And he made cedars as plenty as the sycamores which are in the low country. And Shelemoth had horses brought out from Mitzrayim, and Kuh, the sovereign's merchants, bought them in Kuh at a price. And the chariot came up and went out from Mitzrayim for 600 pieces of silver, and a horse 150. And so, by their hand, they brought them out to all the sovereigns of the Hittites and the sovereigns of Aram. Okay, 63. Where do I... And the sovereign and all Israel with him slaughtered slaughterings before Yahuwah, and Shelemoth slaughtered slaughterings of peace offerings which he slaughtered to Yahuwah, 22,000 bulls and 120,000 sheep. Thus the sovereign and all the children of Israel dedicated the house of Yahuwah. As it stands right now, 2025 July, those that say they are the Yehudim, the Jews, Israel, are currently looking for a quote-unquote red heifer, a red cow, to, I guess, dedicate the temple, to cleanse the temple. It's not, the temple's not built, right? So they are saying they need to do this thing. They need a completely perfect red heifer, and by red it means not one hair on it can be any other color. Not one, not a single hair. They all have to be red. So if you find just one, disqualified. Silly. But anyway, I don't know where they get that from. They're like, we got to do this, and then we can do the temple thing. Shelemoth, the wisest man ever. I'll just say it one more time. Ever. Didn't do that. He built the thing. He built the thing first. And then they slaughtered 120,000 sheep. Right. Now, obviously, we still got a lot to go here. But I'm pretty sure that's it. They're doing their own thing, man. As always. I mean, well, not always, because obviously, clearly right here. I mean, David was like 80 to 90%, and then I guess like Shelemoth is like 90 to 100%. But it's, I don't know. This was a good read. I think so far this is probably one of my favorite sections. So I'm sorry it's run long. I just realized we're at 41 minutes. So whoop, I read. But as always, Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. Shalom, shalom.